Table of all 51 U.S. jurisdictions showing percent of births by mother's race and Hispanic origin. 2026 to June. Green is above average, while red is below average. And I just want to point out, New Hampshire #1! Let's fucking go, buddy! Let's fucking go! Vermont also has a pretty fucking high birth rate, though. 88.7. That's pretty impressive, but unfortunately, that's probably all commies. That's where the commies go to breed. The commie breeding chambers. Yeah, we got commie breeding chambers, man. So like I've been saying, you're gonna make it, chat. You're gonna find a wife who loves you and you're gonna have kids. Look at these nice, happy numbers. Look at these wonderful numbers. Ohio in the green. Make Shinzo Abe proud. True and fucking real. Georgia numbers looking not good. Yeah, Georgia's fucked. I'm glad I got out of there. Holy shit. Get you a BBL to make kids? You shouldn't need a BBL to make kids. Don't alter your body. Now do Indians. What? Numbers are guests? Maybe in the other columns, but these other columns being below US average is very interesting. Asians going up in Nebraska doesn't surprise you. You have a bunch of non-assimilating Asian immigrants who don't know how to drive, park in dangerous places. Oh man, that reminds me. Where's Georgia again? Georgia, Asian. I'm actually surprised that the Asian one is 4.9 in Georgia, considering how many like Korean enclaves there are down there. Corrupted Jester, thank you. We're not all commies here in Vermont. Save us. I don't think there's anything saving Vermont at the moment. At least you guys aren't as bad as Massachusetts, though, from what I've heard. I feel like Maine and Massachusetts are definitely going full swing commie a bit harder than Vermont has. Alabama's above average. Is that concerning? No. New Jersey is now the incest state. Asians are 2 times Pacific Islanders in Hawaii. That is kind of crazy. I know a lot of Japanese people who moved to Hawaii. I had a friend whose parents were pineapple farmers who moved from Japan to Hawaii. This guy here put together a map that said a map of states where the majority of births from January through June 2026 came from non-Hispanic white women. Now, this doesn't necessarily say whomst the white women were having children with, but this is a pretty crazy map. A lot of work to do, patriots. A lot of work to do, patriots. You can do it. Have kids with someone who loves you. Vermont is pulling a Minnesota and inviting over 9,000 third worlders with lots of benefits. Very, it's like they destroy their state, and then whoever hasn't left the state, they're just like, well, we're gonna import a bunch of people who hate you and drive up the crime rates because too many people left. What are the father stats? That's what I was just saying. It's like this, while this is a pretty fucking nice statistic, whomst are the fathers? We have to save the white race. How? By making babies with white women. Ew, gross. That seems to be what a lot of people on the right's opinion actually is. It's very funny. Too late, you're too old. Young guys are gonna have to pick up the slack. That guy says he's too old for kids. Now everyone needs to have an additional child for him. Let's see the stats of the fathers and the kids. Too many Asian women simps. Your dad had you at 47. Never too late. Okay, fine. 4 kids at least, I guess. Last time you went to the shooting range, there was a father with his 6 young kids. They were all white, but you couldn't help but wonder if they were Mormon. Nice people. Mormons, we need your bankai. Dude, black pillars about white women are fucking stupid. Bro, I encountered some black pillars on Twitter the other day. I saw some like random person's post come across my timeline, and she was talking about like how she has great anxiety because of how she's been hurt in like past relationships. And I was like, oh, I am uniquely qualified to give advice on the situation. I don't know who the fuck you are, but here's some advice. And then a bunch of like fucking black pilled incel retards, incel unironically, were just like, remember when we told women to not have sex before marriage? And it's like, in what part of this conversation did sex even fucking come up? And even continues to like, I know this is true because I've seen my sister destroy her ability to pair bond. And it's like, what are you fucking talking about? Holy shit, brother. And it's just like, it makes me sad when I encounter people like that, because it's like, I want you to fucking make it, bro. I don't want guys to just like wallow in this shallow pool of self-loathing and despair that retards like Andrew Tate have put them in by convincing them that like all women are garbage, and especially white women, don't ever deal with them. They're a lost fucking cause. Like just fucking give up. All women are whores, bro. It's just like, holy fuck, man. And a lot of these people don't even realize it. And I don't know if any of the people that like I responded to have this, but a lot of these people that I've spoken to previously here in chat and prior to becoming a streamer, they would just be like, I'm so jealous that women can get hookups so easily. Like, why can't I just jump on an app and have women wanting to fuck me and then I can just leave and go back home and play video games? And it's like, you're part of the problem. You are contributing to the problem you complain about. You are both creating more whores if you decide to lie to women about why you're with them for just easy sex. And two, you're enabling the whores that already exist by wanting hookups. You are contributing to the things you complain about. Bro, that destroys your idea of love. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Your brother's stuck in that all women suck mentality and in your 40s and have broken out of it. Yeah, the dating pool is filled with sewage, but you have to wade through it to find the good ones. Yes. And it's like, it makes me feel sad when I see guys that are still stuck in that mentality, because it's like, bro, if you weren't filled with like this wallowing self-pity, you're probably a decent fucking person. You just gotta break yourself out of that cycle, and then you can find some kind of void who will love you. That's how that works, man. Like, what are you supposed to do? Just roll over and die? I know, it's crazy. Take the white pill. There are good women. There are. And it's like, we've looped on this a ton, because like I am quite literally the poster child for like, yes, all men are garbage, men are terrible, all men are just abusive liars, all men want one thing. They try to convince you that like they want a family, but they don't. They're just gonna use you and throw you away. They're fucking awful, and like, who would ever trust a man? Absolutely fucking disgusting, actually. Right, like, that should be the opinion that I have, but it's not, because I'm not 70 IQ. If your fat retarded ass can find a decent wife, and then there's no excuse for the rest of you, you're not a pretty man, you're not a wealthy man, but you can cook, and you got a nice penis. I believe in you, chat. Holy shit, Skewky! Fuck, that is a copy pasta blast from the past. This fucking guy. Actually, fuck all men. You guys are all sociopathic, manipulative, little cock-sucking whores who only want to run up body counts, pretend to give a shit about women until you have sex with one, and then you leave her like garbage so you can go back to butt-fucking your bros. Why would I ever even bother trying to have a relationship with such a fucking creature? It's clear that you can't feel empathy or love. You just move based on one selfish feeling to the next, not caring who you hurt along the way. That's a fucking holy shit. I haven't seen that in years, dude. God damn. You like how he brought up casual sex into a scenario where it doesn't exist? Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, women who have that opinion of all men are fucking stupid. Men who have that opinion of like, yeah, all women, you're fucking stupid. You are one and the fucking same. Yesterday you heard a group of women saying that they prefer a cheater husband than a husband that doesn't spend a lot of money on them. You decided to not really give it a lot of thought for your own peace of mind. Yeah, you just discount those women. You pick them up and you put them in the garbage. They're not worth your fucking time. That's just like if you go on a date and the woman's like, why didn't you spend $3 on cheese? I don't think I can date a man that's not willing to spend $3 on a slice of cheese. She's for the streets. She's not for you. That's garbage. Your favorite retort for yes, all men is to ask them, even George Floyd. I've seen the responses to that and it's fucking funny. Cernovich, I guess, has been dooming. He said Trump hasn't deported any of the invaders, too worried about optics for the midterm, so he went to war in Iran instead. Christian Haynes posted a bunch of graphs here. He said there's a recurring pattern where large influencer accounts blatantly lie for engagement, and it's a problem that's only growing over time because the incentives actually encourage these guys to keep demoralizing their own side. This is also why I think it's very important that, like, when there actually is good statistic, white pill statistic, you should talk about it, right? Not the fake DEI is going away when there's very much evidence to the contrary, but when you have numbers that show like, yeah, things are happening, maybe you would like them to happen faster, but they still are happening in historic numbers. And this is absolutely not something we would have gotten had anyone else been put in the presidency besides Trump. This just would not be the case. So for as much as like we can criticize him for like, fucking just say no to the judges, get more shit done faster, fucking just do this shit, man. He is doing shit. It's just unfortunately, you know, sometimes too slow. But it still is happening. And you have to be like, yes, that is a good thing that is happening. Even if I would like it to be faster, it is still here. But then there's record high removal flights, 288 plus flights tied with May. At least 288 removal flights in June tied with May. Both the highest ever recorded. ICE Flight Monitor says the true count is likely higher since its tracker can't confirm every flight. 1,474 arrests per day in the first 11 days of July, the highest level on record, up roughly from 1,300 a day in June. That's nearly double the Obama administration's peak average of just 882 arrests per day. Highest interior arrest rate for ICE and CBP combined, which is 1,593 arrests a day. Combined ICE and CBP arrests are running at 1,593 a day through the first 11 days of July, their highest daily average of the second term, up from just over 1,300 a day in June. All-time high immigration case closures driven by record rise in removal orders, 100,000 plus closures in June. June was the first full month of mega master hearings in U.S. immigration history. Immigration case closures soared to an all-time high in June, resulting in over 100,000 cases closed, 78% of which ended in a removal order, less than 2% in relief. And also, as we remember, the Supreme Court had ruled that the temporary protective status for Haitians is over. There is no lower court that can stay that temporary protective status any longer. No matter what a liberal activist cunt judge says, those Haitians are going fucking home. U.S. immigration agents arrested a record number of people in June, data shows. Guardian analysis shows officers arrested 43,138 people as quiet and steady operations ramp up across the country. Total arrests are 582,040, which is up 123,590 since April 4th. People currently in detention, this should be zero. They should be just immediately deported, man. 65,770, which is up 5,450. And total deportations, 590,600, which is up 122,150. These are good, happy, hope pill, nice-looking graphs to look at. It's not all bleak. Legal entries by asylum seekers, the U.S.-Mexico legal entry points are down 99.9%. Look at this fucking, like, dive off of a cliff. Like, there is hope, man. Again, I criticize Trump all the time for, I wish he would just say no to more activist judges. I wish they would not take all of these times just to go through, like, crazy legal processes instead of just being like, no, fuck you, we're saving our fucking country. Yes, I would love this. But that doesn't mean you need to despair, because things are still happening. They're slowly getting the infrastructure in place, so the numbers will continue to go up. And that's why I was upset when people misconstrued my post when I said I want someone like Rupert Lowe. We need someone like Rupert Lowe after Trump. Trump has paved the way for someone like Rupert Lowe to be here, but we need someone who goes farther than Trump after Trump. That is what needs to happen. You think we need a Bukele before a Rupert Lowe? Having a Bukele would be a fucking orgasmic dream come true. I don't think we have anyone in America who is akin to a Bukele. So my hope is for a Rupert Lowe. Millions must go. Billions must go. Agreed, Trump is way too far left for your taste? Yes. We don't know if Rupert will go further until he is elected. That is true. I'm basing it entirely off his rhetoric, which, as we know, he could just be lying like Farage did. He's even offered a deal to, like, work with Farage and reform. So who knows? But I like his rhetoric, and if he has the balls behind the rhetoric to put it into action, that is the kind of person we need. You'll get a middleman before a Rupert Lowe. Trump is like, he's the first guy, but he's the middleman. He is the middleman. You should be going from Trump to Rupert Lowe. Ideally, Trump to fucking Bukele, but I don't think we have someone like that. Oh, look at this. It's so cute. Ideal hag foid GF. Munya. Wag you, buddy. Splurts ketchup on $100. I don't do that. You can't make a meme and lie about me. That's just rude. Look at this lamp. That's true. Autism noises. That's also true. Calls you slurs she can't say on stream. That's also true. I bought fancy sushi. Take your top off. I wouldn't be turning him gay. He's the one true himbo. He's immune to my gay rays. Connor Tomlinson had a crazy fucking story here. He said, my wife just spent 4 hours in urgent care at the nearest hospital on the advice of the NHS maternity service because she's showing signs of preeclampsia. Can lead to fatal blood clots, and she's a high-risk pregnancy. She was seen by an African nurse who barely speaks English and makes multiple spelling errors in her notes and hospital letter. This is how I felt going to the emergency care places when I was going through my pinched nerve era last year? No, the year before that. Yeah, it was fucking awful. Absolutely fucking awful. Hated it. Would not recommend. Dude, like every time I went to the emergency services clinic, the doctor who would look at me could barely speak English. After 4 hours of waiting, she's seen by a doctor who tells her to make her own way to another hospital to wait in the accident and emergency department to get tested there instead. Don't you love universal health care? Oh my God, why don't we have free health care in America? Comes home and calls the hospital, who transfers her to a maternity service, also staffed by an African woman with an indecipherable accent, totally indifferent to the urgency of the situation. Tells her to come into the hospital and wait. We went to the same hospital months ago when we thought she had miscarried. It took 7 hours to see us, and after telling us twice we had probably lost the baby, they did an ultrasound which showed she was fine. That is an insane level of incompetence that puts... I can't even, like, quantify the level of stress on these people. And guess what's bad for a pregnant woman? Somehow they managed to miss a second baby with the ultrasound, though. So now she's in A&E and for another few hours, either for a life-threatening condition that's getting worse while she waits, or for something a quick scan and an aspirin prescription will fix in moments. No wonder maternal mortality has increased. Don't you just love becoming the third world, chat? No. The incompetence, inefficiency, waste, and negligence in the NHS maternity services is astounding. And it's not just strain on the system from demand, it's that frontline staff are not compassionate or qualified. Nobody seems willing to criticize this because it's mean. But so many people who interact with the NHS services have a bad story. It doesn't have to be like this. I don't care what needs to change to make it work. Just make it fit for purpose. And it's like, they have an exacerbated form of the issue that we already have in the US, right? We have the exact same issue of like incompetent foreign doctors with fake credentials or not credentialed at all, getting into positions they have no business being in, and then they can't even communicate with their patients because they can speak English on like a second grade fucking level, right? But in America, we don't have free healthcare, so at least we can get seen by the incompetent doctor in under 24 hours instead of being told to wait a gajillion years for it, right? You got a tab on the Egyptian doctor? Oh yeah, I fucking do. And then here's a text message from his wife. He said, "How annoying, keep me updated." She said, "I will do, darling. I saw the nurse writing notes. She tried 3 times to spell ankle and then gave up and wrote leg swollen." If you are a doctor and you cannot spell the word ankle, you should immediately be relieved of your fucking duties. That is unacceptable on a level that should not even be fathomable. That is insanity, dude. And he gave an update here. Said, "My wife has finally been seen. 7 hours later, she has a suspected blood clot in her leg, which could have been lethal or caused a stroke or stillbirths if left untreated. Despite having the equipment, she's been told they can't scan to confirm it today and will have to wait a day or 2. In the meantime, they're giving her injections to remove the clot. She might have to take them throughout the pregnancy and postpartum. We still don't know. She has to wait another hour for blood to be taken again, her first injection, and then being sent home. She'll get a text for a scan sometime in the next day or 2. In the meantime, we just have to hope it doesn't get worse. This should not be happening in a first world country. This is an unacceptable level of care for people in the UK. One scan could have confirmed all of this hours ago. There's no way there wasn't someone on staff at 2 hospitals capable of operating an ultrasound machine all day. Utterly inexcusable. Welcome to the third world. This is your life now. Yeah, just hope you don't die is pretty much what you got to do here, unfortunately. And then there's this other guy who quote retweeted it, saying, "My wife nearly died giving birth to our daughter. She had the highest category of bleed you can get and not immediately be pronounced dead. My wife was going blue and I was holding our newborn daughter and it was fucking me packing her downstairs up to stem the bleed. The ref trolley protocol kicked in as of me going apeshit at the midwives, who I could barely understand due to language differences. It took ages of my bullying and complaints, but we eventually got a birth debrief. Absolute fucking waste of time, as it was the NHS checking their own fucking homework. The NHS spends out more pounds on maternity malpractice payouts than they do on maternity care. The NHS is not a safe environment currently to give birth. If I walked into a hospital and I was given a room of doctors and midwives who I could not understand because they did not speak English, I would say, I'm going to go home. I'm going to give a home birth because that sounds like far less of a risk than staying here. All right? Like, I am terrified of, like, the effects of being pregnant and how much pain it will be, and especially the giving birth part of being pregnant. It sounds and looks horrifying, and I have a very low pain tolerance, but I would rather go home and take the risks of doing a home birth without any of the marvels of modern medicine if my option is to be surrounded by people who don't give a shit about me and can't speak my fucking language. That's not happening. I'm not going to trust that scenario. And nobody should. A migrant surgeon in the NHS has been fired after he connected the wrong organs during a surgery. Dr. Abdel Rahman connected a patient's small bowel back to their stomach, creating a feedback loop, meaning the patient did not defecate for 3 weeks before being rushed in for an emergency procedure to fix it. We should train our own surgeons instead of importing people from the third world. Now, 2 things. 1, this reminds me of that other guy that we read about that was like a surgeon, what was it, in Florida or Texas or some shit, where like he was supposed to remove a guy's like gallbladder or appendix or something, and he ended up removing his liver instead, killing the guy. I was like, how fucking horrendous of a doctor do you have to be, first of all? Second of all, the patient did not defecate for 3 weeks. I'm sorry. All right? Me, like, if I don't take a shit for like 4 days, I'm gonna be concerned that there's something wrong. And if after 4 days, and I'm very much paying attention to my toilet time at this point, if after 4 days I still am not shitting, I'm calling the doctor. How the fuck did this guy go 3 fucking weeks? That's insane. He was shitting into, yeah, he was shitting into his own stomach. How did it take him 3 weeks?
We just don't know.
Nothing makes me trust a doctor more than them wearing a nondescript shirt that says doctor. Surgeon struck off after wrongly connecting organs. I do not understand how anyone thought this would be a good idea. Why would you introduce DEI into the fucking medical field? Holy shit, dude. A doctor who botched an operation so badly it was described as not compatible with life has been struck off the medical register. Dr. Yasser Adli Abdel Rahman, an NHS locum surgeon from Egypt, carried out the flawed emergency bowel procedure on a young man. It meant the contents of the patient's bowel leaving his stomach were redeposited back into his stomach through a circular closed loop. The medical practitioner's tribunal service heard. The patient was left in uncontrollable pain and could have died but for another surgeon correcting the error in a second operation. The misconduct hearing, sitting in Manchester, was told. Rahman at no time considered that something may have gone wrong surgically, the tribunal heard, despite the patient's parents and other medics expressing concerns. Chat, I must pause and apologize to you, all right? Because I was thinking, all right, how long until the patient started having uncontrollable pain? Because if he was able to live 3 weeks of this, and we've already seen crazy gay furries use like dry ice to like melt off their hands so they can get mech replacements of like paw hands, how many just like crazy bug chasing gay men are going to go to someone to purposefully disconnect their anus and reconnect it to their stomach for a short period of time so that they can have some like crazy anal sex before needing corrective surgery? Like, don't even tell me I'm wrong. Someone is gonna do that. Dry ice to do what? Wait, you guys haven't heard that? That was a really prolific story. There was a gay furry who used dry ice to completely frostbite his hands so that the doctor's office would have to cut his hands off because he wanted to get mechanical hand paws to be a better furry. Oh my god, there's a few people that have done that. They had an amputee fetish. Yeah, it's fucking insane. Rahman at no time considered that something may have gone wrong surgically, the tribunal heard, despite the patient's parents and other medics expressing concerns. Well, I mean, yeah, why would he admit fault? That's like bad in his culture. You don't admit fault. You just stick to your guns. You know, you did nothing wrong. It's their fault. A former consultant general and colorectal surgeon acting as the General Medical Council's expert witness said the procedure carried out by Dr. Rahman was not known to man, and his error was as bad as it gets. Rahman, who qualified in 1993 from Ain Shams University in Cairo, Egypt, did not attend the hearing and was not legally represented. I just want to point out that it says he qualified from the Shams University.
You serious?
The university he went to literally named a sham, and yet he was still hired in Britain. What the fuck are we doing? He claimed he had been made a scapegoat after a witch hunt following the operation carried out at the Royal Oldham Hospital, where he was working as a locum on August 25th, 2020. The MPTS imposed an order restricting his work as a doctor in July of the following year, but Rahman broke the conditions of the order as he then applied for and secured a job as a locum at Affidea Express Care Clinic in Ireland in February 2022, the tribunal found. Question. If he had an order restricting him from practicing as a doctor, even if he broke the conditions by seeking work as a doctor, how fucking bad is the vetting process at whatever the fuck Affidea Express Care Clinic is that they would hire someone with a restricted order on their file? What the actual fuck? Hello, I am John Doctor from Bullshit School of Anus Mechanics. This breach of the order imposed on his work was an aggravating feature, the tribunal ruled, to already significant errors in surgery and post-op care, the hearing was told. The tribunal concluded in a ruling last month that Rahman's misconduct was fundamentally incompatible with continued registration and erased him from the medical register, allowing him to work as a doctor. I mean, that's great that he got his license pulled, but is he gonna have any actual repercussions? Or they're just like, oh, you know, you were making Cronenberg horrors only last seen in Unit 731 by the Japanese. You're free to go, my guy. You can't be a doctor anymore, but like, have fun doing whatever you do normally. No jail time, no fines, no big deal. They had an unlicensed MD working on their dime. They should be legally lynched by every patient he worked on. Oh, they absolutely should be. The shit that he did should be a criminal offense. It absolutely should be. Like, hopefully we'll see a follow-up where there's some kind of repercussions, but I don't hold my hopes since they don't even mention anything here, man. Dude was just practicing to make a human centipede. We'll see it eventually. He was clearly just retarded. How do you attach the intestine that you cut open to the stomach? An area that's distinctly not where he cut it from? This is just a level of competence you can come to expect. Sky News said patients are refusing to be treated by non-white staff as NHS reports shocking rise in racism. Shouldn't the NHS be reporting a shocking rise in incompetence, which is making people not want to be treated by non-white staff? I was like, how many years have I been saying if you want to be treated by a good doctor, you want to find a Korean man or a Japanese man followed by a white man, and if you can't get any of those three, find a different fucking practice. Like, it's just seeking the most qualified. Yeah, especially when it comes to like the Asians, because they get even more discrimination in med school than even the white dudes, which is crazy. And Connor Tomlinson saying, after the week my wife has had, I don't blame them. Recent hires have a poor grasp of English, lack compassion, are incompetent, frequently found to have fraudulent qualifications, and are responsible for the rise in NHS medical malpractice payouts. Wanting a nurse to understand your illness isn't racism, it's a basic requirement for treatment. I'd rather be racist than dead. You know, it's a wonder that so many other people don't have that opinion. It's actually crazy. Also, what the fuck is this retard? It's a free service. Not all doctors are gonna be the best. You and your wife should get private if it's so important.
What the fuck?
So you're telling me disgusting creatures on the left try to say we need free healthcare, and then when free healthcare turns out to be an abomination like everyone warned it would be, it turns into, it's a free service, what do you expect? Get private care if you want quality. Then what was the point of arguing for it in the first place if you knew it was gonna be fucking awful? Oh my god, dude. It's a free service. My eye-watering tax bill begs to differ. True. It's free for the rest of the world and people who don't work. It also pushes the cost of private care beyond being affordable. The result is needless deaths. It is reasonable to be angry about this. Yes. So they can kill you if you can't afford actual health care. Let's see what this fucking article says. The UK sowing. This is so much fun. This is going to be amazing. The UK reaping. Why is this happening? Surely someone should have warned us this was a bad idea. Patients refusing to be treated by non-white staff as NHS reports shocking rise in racism. It's not really that shocking. Paul Awa, a Bedfordshire-based diagnostic radiographer originally from Nigeria, said it's definitely gotten worse. People are more expressive. NHS staff have been called dirty foreigners and monkeys amid a noticeable and unacceptable rise in racism from patients. A survey has found.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
To be fair, if I go to the doctor and I have someone who I literally cannot understand and who cannot spell the word fucking ankle, and I am in excruciating pain, needing assistance from a medical professional, I can understand why some of these things might be said out loud. The Society of Radiographers said the trend over the past 18 months is a poor reflection on society and described the behavior as unconscionable. You know what's unconscionable? The fact that we have so many foreign workers in our medical fields that this is even a problem to begin with. Why aren't native-born Britons being more trained to go into the medical profession? Why are we importing so many people? I say we, even though I don't live in the UK, because it's happening in the US as well. Some have even been refused to be treated by non-white staff, a poll of its members revealed. Those people are brave as fuck. Like, I would be absolutely, like, terrified if I went into, like, a place and I didn't have a doctor and I was just like, yeah, you know, I got some excruciating pain in, like, the left side of my stomach area. Like, I can't breathe very well, you know, like, I'm doubled over in pain. By the way, I don't want to see a non-white doctor. Like, I would just feel like they would give me the most incompetent person out of, like, their own misguided principle at that point, right? They'd be like, I'm gonna teach this horrific person a lesson. How dare they? How dare they say that? I should look up the rates of malpractice and doctors being struck off the NHS. The correlations with country of origin are quite enlightening. I bet I don't even need to guess. It's not all foreign medical peeps. The good foreign med peeps need to be calling out the bad ones. You would think so. Walk in and the doctor just looks at you and says, Kuban ku solo dason Wookie. What? Is this like fucking Star Wars? Phoenix DS, thank you. Color me surprised. The UK has caught up to Canada for its incompetent healthcare. It's wild hearing stories out of like non-American countries. Like, yeah, we might have to give up our firstborn child to afford care sometimes, but at least we get the care. A sonographer in the Midlands of Asian descent said several patients have said to her, this country isn't the same with all those people coming over here taking our jobs. Oh, clearly that person's a bad racist if they couldn't tell that you are also one of the people taking their jobs, right? Like, I don't know if I believe that. Because, like, again, if you're angry about those people taking your jobs, you're not going to complain about those people taking your job to one of those people. That's just not normal. That's just unreasonable. She said such incidents had become more prevalent, blaming the media and certain political parties where people are openly expressing such views. Paul Awa, a Bedfordshire-based diagnostic radiographer originally from Nigeria, added, it's definitely gotten worse. People are more expressive now. What used to be something people wouldn't say, now the rhetoric has changed. People wouldn't say it to be polite. That politeness has been beaten out of most people. And they no longer care about politeness because look at where politeness has gotten them. This is exactly why, like, when the Shiloh Hendrix thing first happened, I was like, well, you know, I understand maybe you shouldn't call a child a slur, but also that's just kind of where we're at right now. Like, back when that first happened, people no longer have incentive to be polite because nobody is polite to them. There is no more, like, high trust. There's no more respect. There's no more politeness. And so that politeness that you benefited from, where people wouldn't say shit when incompetency happened, well, now you're reaping what happens when that politeness goes away. Mr. Awa also claimed he had experienced patients telling him they cannot understand him, even though English is the only language he speaks. Well, that's just funny, isn't it? Other incidents raised in the SOR survey include, some patients always complain about the color of skin of people attending them, said one worker. One radiographer spoke of patients describing healthcare staff as dirty foreigners. Another said, I have witnessed a colleague being called a monkey by a patient. A white man allegedly refused to let a sonographer scan his pregnant wife, telling the staff, I don't want anyone from ethnic backgrounds touching my woman. Based man protecting his woman, holy shit. With the story we just read from Connor Tomlinson, any man with scruples in his brain would say the exact same thing. Like, what are we doing? Another patient refused to let a black radiographer perform their chest x-ray as black people frighten me. This person's unironically just turning their own rhetoric back on them. They've been saying that we need spaces away from white people. We need to have white free spaces. You know, this is a person of color space. White people cannot be here. White people are terrifying. This guy was just like, yeah, black people frighten me, bro. You said that's you know, like a lived experience that can't be questioned, so I'm frightened. The woke do not know how to react to it, man. It's great. The findings come after the latest NHF staff survey showed the percentage of staff who had experienced some discrimination over the past 12 months is at a 5-year high. If the discrimination is like backed by the statistics of those getting basically revoked licenses and the amount of patients lodging complaints about poor service, which is worse? People going into healthcare to address a problem, having incredibly poor service, not being able to understand their doctors, and then doctors actually getting their licenses cut for malpractice, or the discrimination that results from that pattern of behavior. I would say it's probably worse to have your intestine disconnected from your anus and reconnected to your stomach, rather than maybe being called a mean word. Remaking segregation by first principles. That's like a decade ago when they were doing the whole like, we need spaces free of white people. I was like, isn't this just segregation? Are they just asking for segregation again? What's happening? I thought that was bad. I thought segregation bad. What's happening? Published in March, it found that 9.26% of workers had personally experienced discrimination in 2025. Thomas Simons, Chief Human Resources and Organizational Development Officer at NHS England, said, racist abuse towards NHS staff is completely unacceptable and has no place in our health service. Our new national staff standards are clear that NHS organizations must take meaningful action to prevent and respond to racism, support affected staff, and ensure there are clear consequences for patients who racially abuse or discriminate against NHS staff, including the option to refuse care in non-emergency situations. We've read articles on stream that are just like, actually, it's very important for a doctor to have the same exact skin color as their patient. Black patients actually feel more comfortable when they're attended to by a black doctor, and this is why we need more black doctors in healthcare. So why is that okay, but it's not okay for a white person to ask to be seen by a white doctor? Why would there be repercussions, including refusal of care, if a white person says, I don't want my wife to be seen by a non-white doctor? Why would there be any kind of repercussions for this? This was advocated by the left to have the skin color of the doctor match the skin color of the patient. This was something they advocated for and they wanted. You cannot say black doctors for black people, but white people must be seen by any doctor of any race. If you are going to advocate for any kind of racial commitment to doctors, this must be applied evenly across the board. We know why it's not, but you should try to hold them to their standards regardless. That is the only way that you can make any kind of dent in this nonsense. DCF sends letter to sex offender asking for help in fostering victim's child.
What?
The Massachusetts Child Services, not very good. I would know. Family members were alarmed after the Department of Children and Families apparently sent a Salem man a letter asking if he would consider becoming a foster parent for the child of a person he was convicted of sexually abusing 6 years ago. Michael Carr, 39, of Salem, was convicted in 2020 in Salem Superior Court for 1 count of indecent assault and battery on a child under 14. He was also convicted of 3 counts of posing as a child in a state... convicted of 3 counts of posing, not posing as, posing a child in a state of nudity or sexual conduct, and then 2 counts of dissemination of obscene material to a minor for coercing the then 14-year-old girl into sending him nude photos and explicit videos of herself. Salem News reported on the case at the time. Carr served 5 years in prison after pleading guilty to the crimes and was required to register as a level 3 sex offender. In a copy of a letter dated July 21st provided to the Salem News, a DCF social worker contacted Carr, explaining that he was identified as a relative or someone important to the family. Yeah, I mean, I guess your rapist is important. What the fuck? And asked if he would be able to provide foster care or assist in the placement of his victim's 2-year-old daughter. The letter contains no mention of Carr's criminal record, and DCF did not respond to requests for comment for this story. The family said they learned about Carr receiving the letter after he contacted the children's grandmother, expressing confusion as to why he had received the DCF letter. Can we just take a moment to express how even actual convicted pedophiles are confused at how fucking horrendous the system is? This pedo's like, hey, the state wants to give me your kid, and I think that's kind of weird. I guess we're lucky that he reported it instead of was just like, yeah, give me the kid, bro. I'll take care of it. The fact that even he is going, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. Even the rapist is fucking confused. Isn't there a restriction of criminals containing victims? You would think so. But once again, this is Massachusetts, so... The mother and the other family members have now raised concerns over Carr being contacted with a letter containing the full name of the child, as well as why he would even be considered as a candidate given his status as a registered sex offender and his criminal history with the mother. Hey, do you guys remember that program that they did in Germany where they, like, gave out children to pedophiles, like, just to see what would happen? Do you remember that? I remember that. I have no idea why he would even have gotten the letter in the mail or been a candidate for taking a child, especially with how close he was to that whole situation, said Kylie Ritos, a cousin of the mother. It's very upsetting that someone so close to me is being affected by this, not only the mother, but also the kids, because DCF is preaching that the mother should get mental help for what Carr put her through. And then they're doing this. She continued, that's only going to put her back 5 steps through the whole process. The mother was placed into DCF custody as a minor as a result of Carr's abuse. Ritos said she and the mother have repeatedly contacted DCF to say that she, Ritos, would be willing to provide a home to the 2-year-old child who has been in DCF custody for about 18 months. The mother's other child, who is 5 months old, has been in DCF custody for about 2 months. Why are this mother's children in DCF custody in the first place? Like, what did this mother do? Like, we've established that she was a victim of grooming and rape. But, like, how and what has she done to lose custody of her children? Ritos said she's received no correspondence from DCF. The children were initially taken into DCF custody following 2 separate physical altercations between the mother and her then partner, according to Ritos. What the fuck? How? How did she get into, like, 2 scuffles and then DCF took them away? Like, I was basically ringside seats to constant fights, and I had the cops come to the house almost like bi-weekly, right? That's like twice a week, right? They would come to the house, they would come inside, they would wake me up and be like, hey, you gotta wake your brother up, we're gonna take you to your grandparents' house. The cops knew what was happening constantly, and still no repercussions. And yet this person was in 2 fights and that's all it takes nowadays? What the fuck? I mean, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, I suppose, that it's happening faster. But it boggles my mind just how many people knew what was going on in my mom's house, and DCF didn't care until she started illegally selling firearms. That was the line for them. Like, what the fuck? They need somebody who will protect them and put them in the best environment there is, Ritos said. I love them like they're my own kids, and I feel like I can't do anything from the outside looking in. No one at DCF seems to care that I'm here. She expressed outrage at the path of the letter. And this doesn't surprise me, right? This doesn't surprise me that this Ritos lady is like, hey, I'm a friend of the family. I'm willing to take care of the kid. I have a home. I have a steady job. There's no reason I can't look after this child. Again, Massachusetts child services are absolutely fucking retarded. when I was a child and my mother was deemed an unfit parent when I was like a wee tiny babby and she lost custody when I was like under 1 year of age, they would not give me to my father despite him having a stable job and living with his parents, because my mom was basically like, yeah, if I can't have custody, I don't want the father to either. And like, if my grandparents and my dad hadn't recounted this to me, I would have been like, that just sounds way too stupid to have been real. So it's like, I was lucky that my grandparents are as wonderful as they are, and they were just like, well, we should be able to take her as the paternal grandparents. Why would she go into foster care? That doesn't make any fucking sense. I can't speak for other states, but Massachusetts child services are absolutely fucking retarded, have always been, and I don't think there's a single person working for child services in Massachusetts that gives a single fuck about any of the kids in the system. Is foster home Kirsche the darkest timeline? I guess it depends on your definition of darkest timeline. Because, like, if I never had my dad's side of the family and I only had my mom's influence, I'd probably be some, like, crazy coked out prostitute married to, like, a gangbanger at this point. And if I only had, like, my dad's family, I would have been educated in deep blue liberal indoctrination camps that only by the grace of having my mother's shitty upbringing I was able to escape. So I would probably be some, like, blue-haired, metal-faced, crazy feminist. Right, so, like, both of those timelines are horrendously dark. Yeah, I'd probably be doing OnlyFans, you know, like, see my hole for the price of a cheeseburger. She expressed outrage at the path of the letter. Regardless of whether this was an automated mailing or a mistake, I cannot understand why someone with his background and history involving the children's mother would ever receive confidential information identifying her child, Rito said. There's simply no reasonable justification for that, and I'm deeply concerned about the privacy implications and the potential risk this creates. And beyond just this specific child situation, like, this is horrendous and never should have happened, right? But this should make you wonder, this was a pedophile who was so confused that he was receiving a letter to take care of a 2-year-old child, he contacted the family. How many other pedophiles have been given letters from child services in Massachusetts asking them to care for a child? How many other times has this happened? Articles of impeachment have been filed against federal judge Allison Burroughs for refusing to obey the Supreme Court and blocking President Trump from ending TPS for Somalis. If judges aren't held accountable, we will lose our country. Representative Andy Ogles officially made the filing today, which was yesterday actually, vowing to hold this activist judge accountable. America is not Africa's dumping ground. We will end temporary protected status and remove those who have no lawful right to remain and put the sovereignty of American people first. I'm glad to see that articles of impeachment are being filed. Once again, TPS status has ended. The Supreme Court has ruled the TPS status is over. Regular activist judges can no longer try and block President Trump. This is what is going to happen to all of them, I hope. And there are a bunch of people, like, doomering in the comments about, like, well, he filed it, but is anything actually going to happen? And while I share that sentiment, I would like to believe that something is going to happen since it's been filed. I will rage if something does not happen, but until then, this is still more than we've gotten against any of these fucking activist people masquerading as judges previously. So it is something that we haven't had before. Do we need more judges to be impeached? Yes. Would I like it to happen faster? Yes. But something is still happening. It says, impeaching Allison Dale Burroughs, a judge of the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts, for high crimes and misdemeanors. In the House of Representatives, Mr. Ogles submitted on the following resolution, which was conferred to the committee on, and I don't know why that's blank, resolution impeaching Allison Dale Burroughs, a judge of the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolved that Allison Dale Burroughs, a judge of the United States, man, they really like repeating themselves in fucking legal docs, huh? Is impeached for high crimes, I can't read that the following article of impeachment be exhibited to the Senate. Articles of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America, blah, blah, blah. It's filed. Something has happened. Hopefully this leads actually to her impeachment. I don't know how it could not lead to it, but we'll see if someone manages to fuck it up. Obama-appointed judge faces fresh impeachment threat after blocking Trump TPS order for Somalis. Federal judge who blocked the Trump administration from ending protections for Somalis in the U.S. is facing a new impeachment threat from President Donald Trump's allies in Congress. Andy Ogles, Republican Tennessee, has filed an impeachment resolution against Judge Allison Burroughs, a federal judge on the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts. Burroughs issued a stay on Friday, temporarily blocking the Trump admin from ending temporary protected status for Somalis, according to the Department of Homeland Security, amid an ongoing lawsuit by African communities together, arguing the move was made based on racially discriminatory grounds. Ogle's resolution, first obtained by Fox News Digital, accused Burroughs of having defied the authority of both federal law and the Supreme Court. There is no serious debate about what is going on in these cases: defiance, obstruction, and delay. DHS General Counsel James Parseval posted on Friday on X. The order came despite a Supreme Court ruling in June that significantly curbed lower courts' ability to block TPS decisions. The latest stay order is based on an amended complaint by the plaintiffs aiming to account for that ruling. Ogles argued in his impeachment resolution, in issuing the stay, Judge Burroughs attempted to get around the Supreme Court's ruling in Mullen v. Doe by entertaining spurious allegations of racial and national origin discrimination against an administration that has chosen to not renew a single temporary protected status designation. The judicial activist obstruction of the people's will must be stopped, Ogles told Fox News Digital. Judge Burroughs must be impeached. Fox News Digital reached out to Massachusetts District Court for a response to Ogles' impeachment threat earlier Monday. TPS is a humanitarian program providing safe harbor in the U.S. for people who fled natural disasters or war in their home countries. And I think this kind of needs to be ended pretty much wholesale, right? Because the Somalians came here and then started funding the war back home. So them claiming to be fleeing it is absolute fucking nonsense. Ogles' impeachment resolution is one of the several that has been filed by Trump allies in Congress so far during the president's second term. A significant effort to pursue impeachment against U.S. federal judge James Boasberg fell flat last year after senior House Republicans argued it was not the most effective way to rein in what they called rogue judges. Which House Republicans would argue that? But they should absolutely be primaried, because those are the ones who are going to continuously prevent any kind of actual fixing of our country. It's not the most effective way to rein in rogue judges. Impeaching them is not the most effective way to rein them in. What the fuck is wrong with them? What a fucking retarded thing to say. What way would be more effective? Unless they're advocating for just hanging them, which I don't think they are, there wouldn't be another more effective way. Fox News Digital reported earlier this year that conservatives would begin their campaign to remove who they describe as activist judges from the bench again. Burroughs was pointed to the bench in 2014 by then-President Barack Obama. I don't really care who appointed them, right? Like, I don't care if they were like an Obama appointee or if Trump appointed someone who turned out to be a fucking retard. If they're an activist judge trying to cause damage to the American people, they should be impeached. Like, there's just zero way around that, man. Zero way around it. A man who murdered his own father because he was asked to wash dishes is now accused of setting a fire that burned roughly 700 homes to the ground and forced 65,000 people to flee. You see, if we would just execute murderers like we should be doing, so much stuff could be prevented. So many things could be prevented if we actually had strong men in these positions to do what needs to be done, instead of women desiring to be babysitters and treating criminals like fucking toddlers. He killed his dad over dishes and he wasn't in prison. His name is Aaron Farinacci and he's 37. Back in 2010 in Mesa, Arizona, Farinacci got into an argument with his father because his father asked him to do the dishes. So he shot him dead, and then he pointed the gun at his own mother. Then he shot himself and survived. He was charged with first-degree murder, but that got knocked down and he pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Fast forward to Spokane, Washington today. The Old Trails fire tore through neighborhoods north of the city, destroyed around 700 structures, most of them homes. As many as 65,000 people were forced to evacuate. Investigators say it was intentionally set, and they've arrested Aaron Farinacci. Police say he had waterproof matches and a butane lighter on him and found him kneeling in the grass right where the fire started. The sheriff says he's been contacted before for arson-related behavior. Here's the part that will make you sick. On the day the fire started, a witness reported a nervous man in the trees. Why was he in the trees? Police stopped Farinacci a mile away, questioned him, and let him go. Now, 700 families may be staring at the ashes of everything they built. Here's who got him: ordinary citizens. Neighbors who saw something wrong and refused to stay quiet. Prosecutors said that this case was cracked by vigilant citizens who spoke up. And thank God for the people who pay attention. He's charged with first-degree arson and held on $1 million bond. I guess there's no volume here. Isn't this the Palisades fire? I don't think this footage is from Spokane. Unless it looks literally identical to what we saw in the Palisades. Because I remember seeing a video in the Palisades that had this thing. So I don't know how accurate this video is. Reeks of FBR radar comment. Yeah, I mean, I could just be misremembering. It's very possible. Very possible I'm misremembering. It's Washington. Just throw him in the volcano now. Insanity, dude. 100% looks like a shithead who would shoot his own family over dishes. Yeah, he does. He looks like the same kind of
spicy cat raid. What the hell?
Same
is this
kind of mystery meat as Elliot Rogers. You remember that arc too? A library? Yeah, like this could be new footage from Washington, and it could just be a like fucking similar building. But like I remember seeing an arch like that from the Palisades. Authorities in Spokane County, Washington arrested a man on Monday who they suspected of starting one of 3 fires that forced more than 65,000 people to evacuate over the weekend. Aaron F. Farinacci, 37, was charged with 1 count of first-degree arson, according to Sheriff John Knowles of Spokane County. Sheriff Knowles said the law enforcement had initially spoken with Mr. Farinacci on Saturday after police received a call from a resident of the area where the Old Trails fire began. Fire investigators reported that the Old Trails fire appeared to be intentionally set by using a match or butane lighter to ignite the grass. The blaze was one of 3, along with the Autumn Lane and Fairview fires that ravaged parts of Spokane on Saturday and Sunday. Mr. Farinacci was carrying waterproof matches and a butane lighter when he was arrested, Sheriff Knowles said at a Monday evening news conference. The resident told police that he had seen a man bending down in some grass near West Euclid Road and North Old Trails Road in the suburbs north of Spokane, near the ignition site of the blaze. At that point, the male stood up and looked very nervous, according to our citizen witness. The witness returned home, and soon after we saw smoke coming from the area. Deputies stopped Mr. Farinacci shortly after the call, about 1.5 miles from where the fire began. They questioned him, confirmed his identity with the resident who had called police, and released him because the fire was worsening and they were needed elsewhere. Mr. Knowles said the deputies who initially stopped Mr. Farinacci knew little about the nascent fire investigation. Investigators had used footage from the deputies' body cameras to identify Mr. Farinacci on Monday, the sheriff said. More than 700 buildings have been destroyed by the fires, and rescue crews expect that number to rise. No fatalities have been reported, though the sheriff said earlier Monday that the department was still trying to contact 14 people who were involved in calls seeking evacuation assistance as the fires spread. Governor Bob Ferguson of Washington announced Tuesday morning that President Trump had approved his request for federal disaster assistance. The governor had requested a declaration of a federal emergency for 6 counties and 3 native tribes to add federal emergency management agency assets and staff to the firefighting and recovery efforts. He was hoping for federal help seeking missing residents and with temporary shelter, generators, debris, and removal. In central and eastern Washington, increased temperatures and drier air were expected throughout the week. Winds were forecast to increase Friday and Saturday, bringing a return to extremely critical fire weather. Smoke is also widespread, with most seniors in Spokane reporting unhealthy or very unhealthy air quality, according to the National Weather Service. Smoke has also moved into western Washington and was expected to bring reduced air quality into at least Wednesday. Mr. Farinacci is being held on bail set at $1 million, and it was not immediately clear Monday if he had any legal representation. He was expected to appear in court on Tuesday, according to Preston McCollum, Spokane County's prosecuting attorney. According to court records from Maricopa County, Arizona, Mr. Farinacci pleaded guilty to manslaughter and aggravated assault in 2012 after initially being charged with first-degree murder in the death of his father. Mr. McCollum said the investigation was still active and that he might seek out other charges. The authorities are seeking help from witnesses in the Spokane region. This arrest was the result of the diligent work of vigilant citizens who were noticing things that were different, who actually reported it. How the fuck did he get it reduced to manslaughter from first degree when he shot his dad after being asked to do dishes? That seems like as first degree can get. I'm so sick of plea deals, dude. Phoenix DS, thank you. If this was the UK, they'd ban the matches and the lighter fluid. Just throw this guy into the fucking volcano. There shouldn't be any bail, there shouldn't be any jail, there shouldn't be any other trial. Just throw him into a volcano. He should not have had his life after murdering his father. It should have been ended there. Unfortunately, due to our weak fucking society, he was allowed to live beyond that and allowed to destroy many other people's lives from having to be out around normal people. Just get rid of him, man. He shouldn't be here.